Ladies and gentlemen, how's everybody doing today? Today is a beautiful day, and half the day's gone already. And I wanted to share with you guys a piece of scripture first before I go into the topic that you can see there, which has to do with Justice League and the DCEU friendship. Psalms 80 says, "Give ear, O shepherd of Israel, you that lead Joseph like a flock, you that dwell between the cherubims, shine forth. Before Ephraim and Benjamin and Manasseh stirred up your strength, please come and save us. Turn us again to God and cause your face to shine, and we will be saved." Redemption. You know, sometimes people mess up. They screw up everything. You know, like Iron Man. Iron Man screws up everything. Like Iron Man, he's the guy that always makes the poor decisions. If you think about it, from Iron Man all the way to the present story that we had, which was Captain America Civil War, Iron Man's always screwing up. He thinks he's doing the right thing, but he ends up screwing up. And that's okay, because all of us do that. All of us screw up at some point in time. Once we acknowledge it and we don't stay arrogant. What's interesting is that Israel screwed up, and the Lord turned his back on them. And if you saw the scripture that I read before, the day before, you would understand that. And here's David pleading, after giving a long history of Israel and they're walking away, that the Lord would come back and save them and be their friend. You know, there's a piece of scripture that says, there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. And in spite sometimes of people doing some really stupid stuff, because of friendship, because of a relationship, because of a bond, a friend can forgive and then can look past those past transgressions and try to help the friendship be stronger because of it, by helping the other person through their problems and also help allowing that person to redeem themselves. Because friendship has to do with relationship. And it's very important, I think, that each and every one of us understand that core principle of friendship and why it was so important that when we talk about these heroes that we look at, that they're friends. So we'll get into that right now. First of all, I just want to share with each and every one of you that you can always participate by going into the chat section. I'm not going to put a link right now to the Hangout. Maybe I'll put it a little later on, but I want to take my time, go through this. This group, first of all, that you see here is from Facebook. It's a group that I'm the admin of. It's Justice League Unite. There's a whole bunch of people who love Justice League, and I got some good news for you guys that was just published in our group today. And we have a number of really awesome members in this group. Some of them are subscribers to my channel. I want to give a shout out to all my subscribers, whether you say good or bad. It's very nice to have you here in this platform. And even though sometimes I don't tolerate certain things, or I may have to use my administrative privileges to mute you or whatever, if you come to my channels and you actually watch my videos, thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you. Do understand we're having a discussion on movies, so sometimes I may see that some of you guys are proceeding in a manner that does not lead to anything positive. But if you're still coming to see my videos, that is very nice. Thank you so very much for doing so. We're a very small channel, but we try to give you value for money. Justice League Unite is a group that has a specific purpose. So let me just tell you guys what it is about. All right. Now, first of all, of course, this group is for those who love Justice League. And pretty much this particular group is about saying as much positive things about the movie as is possible. So, but even so, yes, people do become critical of the movie at times, but we're not people who bash movies. We're not people who hate movies. You're going to see an exception to the rule. I bashed some MCU films of recent times, pointing out their flaws and stuff. But that's not really what I'm about. I'm not really about bashing movies. You provoke me to bash movies, I will bash a movie, or I'll point out the stuff that you've been overlooking. especially if you attack something that I like and I know the value in it, and I realize that the movie, there's a lot of unfair criticisms towards the movie. So that's the only reason I'll do that. But quite frankly, I don't really have that time to really spend on bashing movies, even if it's the MCU. If you notice, almost all of my reviews of MCU movies, where possible, I try to find positive things to say about them. I don't really try to bash movies because I'm an artist myself, and I'm someone who appreciates the creative process. So it's kind of hard after people put out all their money, time, all these crews and people came together to make a movie, for me to just be that dismissive of it. And that's why I'm going back and looking at some of the MCU movies and films, and I will be looking for value inside of them, as well as I will be doing some comparisons of certain trends and certain things that connect the movies together. So I'm going to give the MCU due respect and time as well. And besides that, Black Panther was a hell of a film. I don't care what nobody says. If you say it was a terrible film and it was an atrocious film, you're being a hater. Just like how if you say Justice League was a terrible film, an atrocious film, it was a pack of rubbish, you're being a hater. Because these movies are, I hear people talk about the flow in the movie, how it was detached. I just don't see what they're seeing. Because again, how you look at filmmaking determines how you actually make judgment. And a lot of people do not understand the filmmaking process, and they do not understand story flow. Justice League story flow, for the most part, flowed quite well. Yes, I agree that you can tell that certain scenes were cut out of the movie, but the movie by and large flowed very nicely and drew you into it, just like with Wonder Woman, drew you into it, so that you really are not even paying attention to these little parts where things don't really match up that well. Okay, so again, it's people's opinion. Again, people are trying to look at what Joss Whedon filmed and what Zack Snyder filmed instead of watching what the film was. And if that's your prerogative and that's your priority and that's your focus, obviously things will seem disjointed because you're focused on which director did what. You're focused on the making of the film instead of just watching the story unfold. Those people will focus on some really stupid, petty stuff like Henry Cavill's mustache. I mean, that's as petty as you get. It's just like me being very petty about Thanos's head and what it looks like. But I can get there. I can go petty like those guys. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to be petty and critique, then I can do it the same way. I can be a mirror to you and show you what you're doing and why what you're doing is not helping anything, right? Remember, comic book movies are to inspire and to help people become better people as a result of it. Think that's why we have superheroes. That's why people love superheroes. Okay. So I just wanted to say that. Now let's just get into what we're going to talk about. First of all, I have some good news. It popped up in my group. I'm going to actually shout out this guy's name. So, you know, the guy that did this, his name was Andy Rivera. He put this out. He was saying you could hear the haters cry from the distance, and he's laughing because Justice League topped the Blu-ray and DVD sales for the month of March. All right, it's #1 right now on the charts. And let me give you guys a look at that right now. Let me see if I can do that here. Okay, so Variety published this. And Justice League at present, as of ending March 17th, Justice League is the top selling DVD and Blu-ray at present, okay? It's #1 on the NPD Video Scan overall disc sales chart, which tracks DVD and Blu-ray unit sales and the dedicated Blu-ray disc chart. Okay, that's cool. Thor Ragnarok right now is at 44% of what Justice League has earned in its first week, which is pretty cool. So hopefully Justice League can keep that up. And quite frankly, I don't care about haters because haters are not going to buy nothing. I'm really focused on the people who actually care about this movie. And there is the rankings right there, top 20. You have your top 10 rentals. So that's kind of cool. So there you go. Let's move on to something else very quickly. So here, Desiree, she just said hi there. Shout out to you, Desiree. Actually, I'm looking at you. You be looking at yourself at this present point in time. This should be very funny to see. I'm looking at you, and I hope everything's going well, Desiree. I hope All's going well. You'll see my face in a minute. I'm just playing around with this stuff to see how this program works. So yes, I got something to talk to you guys about. Justice League and the DCEU, about friendship and how important that is in the context of the comic book movies, in the context of Justice League, in the context of the DCEU. I'm going to go into that a little bit with you guys. Let me get across to what I'm going to be showing you right now. So I'm just going to toggle a little bit. There you go. Boom. Okay.
Who are you?
A friend.
All right, I just had a little difficulty. Let me start it over.
Who are you?
A friend.
Now, this is a video that I actually already put up in Justice League United. For those of you who have access to Facebook, you can either look at the group or you can join the group. It's Justice League United. If you love Justice League, I'm talking about love it now. If you love the film, and even though you may see you might want improvements, but if you love the film and you want to join the group, just answer the questions that are there for the group and we'll join you up. All right. And there are some other Facebook groups I have on Facebook, which we are actually, they're smaller groups, but there are groups which I also manage. I am also admin of. There's the Real DCEU Fans. So you can check out that group. Again, you have to answer questions to enter the group. You're not just going to get in there just like that. And also I have Batman v Superman lovers, because for those people who love the Batman v Superman, I do not have a Man of Steel group, but I do have a Wonder Woman lovers group, and I also have a Suicide Squad lovers group, and those groups are filled as well. People love those stuff. So a lot of people put out their stuff and so on. So you can always check out those groups on Facebook, on Twitter. I have a Twitter handle, and I have a couple of followers right now, but we really are looking to get an organized group on Twitter as well as some other social media site groups. So I'll be looking forward to expanding as time goes along. But here, I'm going to replay this part here because it's all about friendship. This is the very first comic book movie ever. All right. The very first comic book movie of all time was Superman 1978. And Superman 1978 sort of is interesting because Superman 1978 basically tells us a bit about relationships. That is, relationships of our heroes to the world and to each other. So I'm spending some time on this video elaborating, as well as I want you guys to talk. So if you want to give feedback, Desiree, you're right there right now. If you want to say something about this, I'll give you time to say something about it. I'll come back to you and I'll talk with you as we go each step along the way with this video, because I like discussion. I want you guys to participate in this. I want you to talk with your friends about the substance inside these movies. I don't want you worshiping these heroes. I want you to use them as tools to be able to better relate with other people who may not share opinions with you, but at the same time have that love for humanity. Even if you get an argument, a quarrel, a spat, you guys come back together because of that love, that bond, that relationship. And that's what friendship does. Friends don't always agree on everything, and friends don't always get along, right? Sometimes we fight. Family, same thing, right? But that doesn't mean that at the end of the day, we don't have love for each other. And if push comes to shove, we won't have each other's back. So let's get into this. So let's hear this one more time here. Listen to what Lois Lane says and listen to what Superman says.
Who are you?
A friend.
And that is how Superman 1978, the introduction of Superman into our comic book universe and into the world, began. The very first superhero film started off. Lois Lane asked Kal-El, aka Clark Kent, she asked him, "Who are you?" And his answer was, "A friend." A friend. He didn't say Superman. He didn't say none of that stuff. He said a friend. And then he flew off and he waved to her as he was going up into the sky. Now, let me show you guys some other things. So we're going to go now to the DCEU. And we're going to look at each DCEU movie. All right. So I'm going to go from here. All right. This is Man of Steel. Here we go.
Came back here.
He's a friend. Don't worry.
Oh.
Let me play it back because I'm not going to play all the way through this video because I can't, but I'm just going to play it back again for you guys to hear because you need to know the context behind it. All right, here we go.
A reporter came by here.
She's a friend. Don't worry.
Oh.
All right, that was in Man of Steel. And the context behind that, of course, is Lois Lane goes, finds Clark, or AKA Kal-El, and she's talking to him about she wants to write a story about him and everything. And he's like, nah. And she's right at the gravesite. She just saw the grave of Jonathan Kent. And basically Clark gives the background to that, the sacrifice that was paid so that what she would do recklessly wouldn't happen. And she looks at him, and apparently she made an agreement with him not to say anything. And so when she came to Clark's mother, Martha Kent, and asked around about, her son, and eventually she was able to find Jonathan. And so Martha was saying, very skeptically, this reporter came around, was trying to ask for you and stuff. And he was like, don't worry, man, she's a friend. Now, I'm going to go to that was Man of Steel. Let's go to BVS right now. Let's go to BVS, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you something. So let's get to BVS first. All right. Let me just go from right about here. Yeah, that's good. That's good right there. All right, here we go.
It's okay. I'm a friend of your son's.
I figured. The cape?
Okay. So in this case, Batman comes and saves Martha Kent. All right. Same Martha Kent that Superman just now was talking to in Man of Steel. This is Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. And in that movie as well, friendship comes up. And both movies are very interesting because in the case of Clark speaking to Lewis, Clark comes right after that and says to Martha, she's a friend. Don't worry. She's a friend. All right. In this case, when Batman saves Martha, he's like, you're probably wondering why I'm here, right? I'm a friend of your son's. This is just after he was about to kill Superman, right? And of course, people say for the case, they're very hypocritical. They say for the case of Batman v Superman, he's calling him a friend so soon? How can he be calling Superman his friend? Apparently, people don't understand touching moments. So they overlooked what happened or what Superman did for Bruce. They obviously don't understand the significance and the depth of it. Why Bruce calls Superman almost right after that incident when he realizes what he was about to do and everything. He calls him a friend because he gets this chance to be redeemed. So in Batman's mind, Superman is his friend. And since then, there's this bromance between Batman and Superman, even though Superman is dead. Batman loves Superman. And we see it at the end of Justice League where Superman says, no, you didn't bring me back because you like me. And he's like, he stutters. He's like, his whole system kind of breaks down. He's like, I. It's pretty funny, actually, when I think about it, because Batman don't do emotion. So he's like, I not. He basically has this ticking nervous breakdown almost. Because Batman don't do emotion. It's pretty funny. But at the end of the day, Desiree and whoever else is watching this video at this present point in time, I hope you're enjoying the fact that, again, we see friendship. And it's very meaningful because what Superman did for Batman really does make Batman feel like Superman's very close to him, because Superman touched him in a place which is his core. Basically, Bruce Wayne, his mother dying in an alley. So he immediately attaches to Superman. People think it's too fast, but I don't think so at all, because this is like something deep rooted. And Zack Snyder made a point of setting it in the beginning. This is the guy's identity is based on this. Okay. And then when we scroll back to Man of Steel, the fact that Lewis keeps that secret for Clark is why Clark has this close bond to her because she's keeping these secrets, and you can see his attachment to her is because his attachment to humanity, because he realizes humanity has the ability to not exploit someone who has certain abilities. And so this woman, Lewis, she cares about him, and he realizes, he comforts his mother, even he comforts her hand by saying she's a friend. He trusts her. He trusts her. And you see in Man of Steel this trust continuing. You hear Clark speak to the priest, and the priest says, sometimes you have to go on a leap of faith and you got to trust somebody. Then you hear Clark echoes that leap of faith again at the end of the movie, where he says to General Swanwick, I guess I'll have to trust you. I guess I'll just have to trust you. So friendship brings about trust. And that carried over into BVS, where General Swanwick, again, has this friendship with Lois Lane, where Lois Lane trusts General Swanwick, and she puts it all out on the line. She gives him the bullet, and she says, I know you don't think Superman was guilty. And he investigates it. It's called friendship. And friendship, or bond, is something that really money can't buy, man. I mean, if you think about it, how many of you in the world today have really core friends who have rode and died with you through thick and thin, through almost all your life? How many of you have that? You can only count those friends on the tip of your fingers, right? You maybe have 2, 3, or 4 of them in your life. You may be friendly with a lot of people. You may have lots of relationships, but a true friend in life, you have very few and very far between. They're very few and very far between, right? And so friendship is a very important thing. We'll go into some more stuff here because we're not done. That was BVS, right? That was Batman and Martha. And now we're going to go on to Wonder Woman. Why am I doing Wonder Woman first? Because I want to deal with, first of all, the singular aspect of friendship, which is one friend, okay? Now, this is a little bit different to the other two. I'm taking my time with this video. Now, before I go on with this video, what I'm going to do, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just see what you're saying in the chat section, because I can't see you right now. So I'm going to go look at you in the chat section until I get my technology up to speed where I can see you in another window in the chat section and see you as I'm doing my video. I'll have to kind of do each independently. So I want to see what you guys are saying in the chat section. So I'm going to go across to the chat section right now. Let me go across to the chat section here. Up. There you go. Yeah. And Desiree is here. Desiree said, doing my best. All right. Hope, man, Desiree, you just keep on going, girl. You just keep on pushing. And indeed, Zach did it right. The friendship thing, he did it right. Yes. Yes, he did. But it wasn't only Zach, because as I said before, we're going to go into all the DCEU movies, and literally they mention verbatim the word friend in each and every one of them. Each and every one of them. So we're going to go, it's across the board. It was a plan. I don't know who set it out, but it was across the board, and the script writers and everything, they follow this. Of course, Zach did the storyboarding. Zach doesn't do script, but he does definitely do storyboarding. You see the storyboard for things. And I think when they talk about story by Zach, he has a storyboard that he storyboard out. You see what I'm saying? And somebody else scripted the movie, but Zach storyboards it out visually. You see what I'm saying? That's my take on things, at least so far. Oh, I see. Oh, that sucks. When I give this display, I get many, many displays. That's so cool, though. I'm now seeing it. Oh, well. Actually, no. Actually, yeah. Okay. This is kind of cool. Woo. I like the effect. Anyway. Yes, Desiree. So what's happening here is friendship. I want to ask you a question, Desiree, as you've just been watching the video so far. What do you think about the fact that these bonds that you see happen almost, they happen pretty fast in a movie, in the sense that, but you can tell these are pivotal moments. Some people say, Desiree, that they say that these friendships, these bonds were too rapid. Batman just suddenly, he was just attached to Superman all of a sudden, and he wasn't suspicious of him anymore. They said that, you know, maybe they may have the case, even though some of them overlook it, that Lois Lane, you know, she becomes a Superman's confidant, and all of a sudden he's trusting her. What do you think of those things? Was that too quick, or is it that the kind of moment that was given and the conscience of the people, because they generally tend towards good, allowed that those were pivotal moments? What do you think about it, Desiree? So let me go back into what we're talking about, because it's friendship, and I like that these friendship, these bonds are meaningful bonds. They're pretty deep bonds. And why this is very important for us to understand as we move along is because when we talk about superheroes, we ourselves have deep bonds towards them. We have a certain connection to them, and that's why they're superheroes. You see what I'm saying? Maybe that still doesn't make as much sense as it should. I'm waiting for Desiree to respond, and while she's responding, I'll just keep on talking about a couple other things. So that if you look at, for instance, what happened in Justice League with Cyborg. Oh, Desiree79 says, Tony Stark said, "So was I in Civil War about being Captain America's friend. I had a harder time believing it than I did with Batman and Superman in BVS." Well, actually, now that you said that, that's very interesting. They don't necessarily verbalize that they're friends, but you could see at the end of Age of Ultron that Captain America says, "I'll miss you, Tony." And Tony says, "Yeah." You know, I think Tony actually said he would miss Thor, and he would miss Captain America. I think he actually said that. I can't remember. But actually, so they did it over the course of a lot of movies, right? And I think with Marvel, what they did was they sort of built their story along a lot of different movies. Not always was it, you know, obviously connected to each other. They didn't always do it that. And they're more obvious in how they do things, yes, to make the audience cue in. But what was interesting to me was it took us a series of movies for us to see and flush out the connection between these different people. That's how Marvel did it. Now in DC, I found that the kind of moments in DC, even if you look at Suicide Squad, where that moment inside of that bar, those moments were so deep and impactful that the characters come out of them and they're changed. So I find that DC uses certain moments to give a meaningful impact to a particular character. So that after that moment in the bar, I found that you know, Diablo, he comes out saying that these people are family. He actually says they're family, whereas it was taking like 2-3 installments before Captain America and Iron Man would say, "I miss you." You get what I'm saying? They had to go through a number of episodes or adventures before they would say, "I miss you, man." You know what I mean? So I think people saying that, you know, these things happen so fast in the DCEU may be because they feel the moments and everything, but because of what happened, the precedent that happened in Marvel, they expected 2-3 episodes, 2-3 movies before these characters would warm up to each other, just because of precedent, what happened in Marvel. So I feel like those moments were huge. Like, I can't tell you how huge those moments were in DC. Whereas, like you said, Desiree, sometimes you don't feel the same kind of feeling you have in the MCU because they took a longer course of time to build it up. And so when they express it now, these people have a history with each other so that it feels a certain way, but those people have been following up on all those things. And now those people now would say, well, man, we didn't have this whole history between Batman and Superman. So, you know, how could Batman just suddenly trust Superman? Not understanding the significance of the moment that happened in BVS, where Batman realizes in that moment, he's recapping his whole life in that moment, where Batman in that moment realizes he's wrong. And then in that moment realizes he has redemption. He can go and save Martha finally. These are moments in the DCEU, which are very heavy, very pivotal moments for very pivotal characters who are flawed. And I think that is the powerful thing in it. Again, Desiree, you say a very important point where you say El Diablo had no family anymore. He rapidly considered the squad as his family. Exactly, because he had destroyed his family. And now his redemption was to save his second family. So you get it. It's moments in these movies that make these movies so impactful, and why we go with it and we believe it and we keep on moving with it. Whereas in the MCU, it's not so much about moments, even though they do have moments in their movies, but their moments are emotional, but not necessarily transformative and cognitive. They use and this is big words to say, they're not ones in which the characters immediately feel a need to change and they feel convicted inside of them heavily because of their past and how it aligns with their past. So whereas in Marvel, they take time, they take certain, series and, a number of episodes to get that feeling. In the DCEU, I feel they can get that feeling because of these characters' past. Because once they give you the relevant information, it makes sense. And when Diablo told us about how he killed his own family, that was horrific to think about. And now he gets this chance to redeem and save his family. And that's the redemptive quality, which we get in a very short, compact space of time. And you literally feel it. And you feel for the loss of Diablo, which is why everybody said Diablo was one of the shining characters. Like he was like this hidden character in there. And then Desiree 79 says Deadshot forcing him to help with his powers, kind of like a dad. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He said, I'm kind of okay with it, given the sort of support he had from Holly. Exactly. R2 Limited, man, making an appearance here, but can't stay long. My dad and stepmom are moving, and I'm helping them carry their stuff. Yes, my brother, we're just talking about friendship and how Justice League and the DCEU established friendship. I'm taking my time with this topic, and you can always go and watch it later on in the day. It's nice to see you, man. Shout out to you, and shout out to Desiree as we have this discussion, because I'm going to go back into it right now so you can catch up to speed. Let me just say very quickly, I'm going to show you the video that we're doing right now with friendship so we'll look at it in more detail. But like I was saying, I'm just want to throw this out to you, R2, as well. A lot of people said that, the moment in BVS, was that Batman was rushing stuff. So I want to get your input, R2, on Batman. They say Batman was, that Batman, when Superman said, Martha, that Martha moment, after that Martha moment, when Batman goes and tells his mother, I'm a friend of your son, they goes like, how can you say friendship? How can you say he's his friend, So what you got to say about that, R2? Let me get your comments in the comment section, and you guys can go ahead and discuss that. Dave Ethan, what do you think about that? Hey, man, shout out to you. I know you at work or something. So I'm just going to say this real quick. If you haven't seen most of the video, it's not a problem. But what do you think of people saying that it was rushed, that Batman suddenly had a change of heart? He didn't want to kill Superman no more. And then he was considering Superman his friend when he had to go save Martha. We were just talking about that in some detail. When you guys go and replay this video, you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's get back to what we're talking about. I'm looking for your answers, by the way. So I'm going to go back to the video and then come back to you guys. Okay. So I'm going back to the video right now. Let me just do that right now. Okay. Hold up. Oops. That was a little mistake there. Oh, there you go. Boo. Booyah. I'm back in the video here. All right, so Superman, I talked about Superman 1978, how the first superhero movie, the superhero relationship with the people of Earth and with Lewis, he considers himself a friend. All right, and that's very important to remember. Remember that. And then I went on to Man of Steel. All right, and this is what
she's a friend.
All right, Man of Steel echoed that, and then Batman v Superman echoed that.
It's okay. I'm a friend of your son's.
All right. And now we're going to Wonder Woman. All right. Now Wonder Woman is interesting because Wonder Woman's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. Yeah. Wonder Woman's a little bit different. All right. Listen to this. All right. Here we go.
Okay, Black Man. Good to see you. Yes. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, beauty.
All right. So in Wonder Woman, why I went to Wonder Woman, because We're just dealing with one friend at a time in this case. So in this case, the guy doesn't only say a friend. You know, with Superman in 1978, he considers himself, when Lewis asks him who he is, he says, I'm a friend. When you see in Man of Steel, and Martha's asking Clark, you know, this reporter came around and he says, don't worry, she's a friend. And in Batman v Superman, when Batman saves Martha Kent, he says, I am a friend of your son, a friend. But for the first time now, we're seeing in Wonder Woman, I did it out of sequence, Suicide Squad is next, but in Wonder Woman, we see that Wonder Woman, Chief is met by not Charlie, Sammy. Sammy meets Chief after a long time, and he says, my friend. And my friend is different to a friend. That says possessiveness. That says, you are my friend. And he hugs him and he embraces him. And again, friendship. And it shows in one movie, these moments that we're talking about, these moments tell us so much. We know these guys had a history together. Just in that one embrace and calling him my friend. And that's the difference, I think, between the DCEU and the MCU. And that's why the DCEU can proceed the way it's proceeding, because these moments are so heartfelt and so real, and the actors portray it well. The script writing is very good to allow these moments to happen, so that nobody ever says Wonder Woman is rushed, but nobody ever questions that, hey, Sammy called Chief his friend. Oh no, because they had a history together, because they were going with Steve Trevor, and they were on other crusades with him before, because Steve Trevor said that. But we never saw it, right? We never saw it. So how can you just gulp that down just like that and just believe it, right? Because of that moment where he says, my friend, and he hugs him, he embraces him. That's the moment that convinces us. It's these moments in these movies, and that's what people don't get. But going back to, he says, my friend, let me move on just to the next moment in this video that I wanted to talk a little bit about, which happens in Suicide Squad. Now, this one's a little bit more elaborate. I'm going to try not to overdo it here, but this is a lot more elaborate. So here we go.
Why, Mr. Wayne? Just like to make friends. What's the difference between us? You believe in friendship, I believe in leverage. Good night. You look tired. You should stop working nights. You should shut it down. My friends and I will do it for you.
All right. Now you get two different things. Now we're talking plural. Now we're talking more than one friend. But before I go into that, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat section. So let me get back to the chat section here. Okay. So what you guys got to say? Oh, Ramos Madsen, what are this? Well, we're discussing Ramos Madsen. We're discussing friendship in the DCEU. And we're looking at Justice League and the friendship of different characters in the DCEU. So there's a theme about friendship in the DCEU, and I've been asking people in the chat section questions, but apparently they've stopped commenting. So I'm going to go back to what I'm doing here. Again, I had asked you guys some questions, and again, you guys can talk in the chat section if you so wish. Ramos Madsen, shout out to you. I hope you guys have a great one. I don't know who you are exactly, but I'm happy to see you. Have a good one. And I'm just going to go back to what I was saying, since I didn't see anybody add any extra comments. Okay. So I'm going back to what I was saying here. Let's go back here. All right.
Good to see you, pal. Okay, like. Good to see you. Yes. Yeah, beauty. Just like to make friends. What's the difference between us? You believe in friendship, I believe in leverage. Good night. You look tired. You should stop working nights. You should shut it down. My friends and I will do it for you.
Now, what's nice about this is a number of different things going on here. One is Amanda Waller says the difference between us is you believe in friendship, I believe in leverage. All right. And in this case, there are two things you realize. You hear Bruce say that I'm just making friends. I'm just interested in making friends. And then the other thing he says is my friends. So he goes possessive as well, but now we are seeing it in the plural. We're seeing it in the plural. We're hearing about friends, and then we're hearing about my friends. So it's not just any friends, it's my friends. So he wants to make friends. That's cool. But he also wants my friends. All right, let's go on. And then we see the follow-up of that in Justice League. Justice League follows up on that. Let's get to there. All right, the Flash, Mr. Ezra Miller.
Stop right there. I'm in. You are? Yeah, I need friends. I would.
So that is Ezra. He says, "Friend, I need friends." And then here's the follow-up to that. Here is Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor's talking to Deathstroke, and he's talking about Superman and how he rose up in the sky. I'm just going to continue from where Lex is about to talk about Superman. But he says he's risen, and here's what else he says.
He and his odd little friends are forming some sort of league.
All right. So Lex Luthor goes on to say that, you know, he saw God rise up into the sky. And then after he says he and his little friends seem to be forming some sort of league, his odd little friends, as he calls them. So he calls his friends. So we see the possessive case as we move along now, and it's plural. So first of all, we started off with Superman talking about a friend. Then we see that in Wonder Woman, we see that Sammy calls Chief my friend. Then when we go into Suicide Squad, we see that Bruce Wayne talks about making friends, and then he talks about my friends. And then we go into Justice League, and we see the Flash saying, I need friends. And then we hear Lex Luthor talk about Superman's friends or his friends, the possessive again. Now, it's very interesting seeing these different things. And again, once again, you can always go and see this video in its entirety. I'm just doing sections of it. You can go and see this video in its entirety. It's not very long. It's about a minute, maybe 2 minutes long. So I'm just elaborating on it in Justice League Unite on Facebook, right? But in short, what I'm saying to you guys is that you will notice that there's friendship, and then there is something else. Amanda Waller talked about leverage. There's leverage versus friendship. And Suicide Squad discussed a number of different topics, but one of the topics that was discussed was leverage. Leverage versus friendship. And then also in Justice League, it was elaborated where we had friendship versus what's the word I'm looking for? Association almost. That's not the word I'm looking for, but that's what I'm going to use, okay? So that there were two different unities. There was the unity of convenience, and then there was the unity of bond or friendship. All right? There were two unities you saw. So there's the unity of convenience where people associate with each other to get the maximum advantage. And then you have unity where people actually get to know each other and recognize each other. And so if I may go on a little bit here, see if I can find it. Okay. And so I just want to go to the bottom line here, that what you will notice is that I just went through every single DCEU movie, and they all line up with the Superman 1978 in terms of friendship, but they elaborate on that. And there are different elaborations through the DCEU on different aspects of friendship and how friendship is discerned from, say, leverage or from associations. Okay. And so the DCU actually emphasizes a lot on choice, like the Matrix trilogy. If you do remember in the Matrix Reloaded, the problem was choice when he met the architect. Okay. And so everything in the DCU is about choice. The heroes have to choose. The earth has to choose. Everybody got to choose. Okay. And that's different to controlling people or using people as leverage or forming necessary associations. So that what is happening is we have a deeper bond with the heroes focused on friendship, in which people choose to be with one another, share experiences, and help one another. And that's the relationship these heroes have with the world, beginning with the very first superhero film, which is Superman 1978, which we saw. Superman was not looking to be a ruler of the world. And a lot of times the world was afraid that Superman would be that person. And it's so very important to set that tone. These superheroes, even when you look at the Super Friends, right? The Super Friends, which was way back when, right? Let me get them all. There you go. This very early edition Super Friends in the 70s. The Super Friends, there's a reason they were called friends. There's a reason they were called the Super Friends. The reason was they were not the leaders. It wasn't because they're so powerful, they lead the world and they rule the world with an eye. No, they work along with mankind. They work along with mankind. And comic books have explored this. If you look at Injustice, for instance, Injustice, God Among Us, or any Injustice comic, it's showing that they moved from the status of friends of the earth to rulers of the earth. They started to decree. Kingdom Come discussed this as well, where Superman was trying to take into his own hands and put prisoners in a particular the Galag, right? And instead of doing just taking his initiative on his own and taking things into his own hands, he needed to work along with the people of the earth. Wonder Woman, in her discussion with Bruce Wayne in BVS, she speaks about moving away from mankind. In other words, she didn't want to govern affairs or be a leader of mankind, which is true. You're not supposed to be the leader of mankind. You're just supposed to hold on a second. There you go. You're supposed to work along with them. And so even though you're leading out in some area, you're not supposed to be the governor of mankind. You're not supposed to be the one. The superheroes, they're not there to manage mankind's affairs and govern over them. They have their governance for that. And so that's the difference between a friend and someone wanting leverage, or someone who's associated with, or a dictator or a ruler. Even though the ruler may say, I am going to set the terms for democracy, the superheroes and the Justice League is not there to govern. They're not there to rule over the world. All right. Let me come out of this. So let me see here. What do I do? I think it's this. That's the wrong thing. Again, this is Justice League Unite. Okay, there you go. So I'm going to stop this so you can see my face for the first time. Or not. Right now, you're just seeing my logo. Let me do it like this. Show my face. Nope. Okay, turn the camera off again. We got a little glitch going on here. Oh, there you go. There's my face. All right, folks. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I like to talk about substance. Now, what does this have to do with anything? All of us are given gifts. All of us are given abilities. And you can't save the world alone. You can't. All right? You have to work along with other people. But it's really awesome when you can work and build friendships and relationships with people. And sometimes the people and you may not share similar views on many different things. And so relationships are very important. Actually, those are the most important thing in the whole wide world. It's relationships, actually. You can have good ones or you can have bad ones. You can have relationship associations. You can have deep relationships. And usually there are few people who are really you have deep relationships with. But at the end of the day, it's always good to try and have relationships. They say it's always good to build bridges, not burn bridges. And to a great extent, that is somewhat true. Of course, you must burn bridges with bad habits and bad things and bad associations. You really want to burn those, okay? When I say bad association, I mean people working together to do something dark and evil. You don't want to be around that. You want to break that. You may still look at the people and try to be as kind to them as possible, but when it comes to doing the actual act, you don't want to associate with them. So let me just get back here to see if you guys have any other comments to say. I just wanted to share that with you guys, and then I want to talk a little bit about the runtime of Justice League, and I also want to talk about some of the future stuff with Justice League, future stuff with the DCEU, and how that sets the tone. And friendship does have a lot to do with family as well. Family, and we saw that expressed in Suicide Squad. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here. Let me see if I do this. There you go. So it has something to do with Suicide Squad as well. And yeah, cool. I just clicked it because I like my own video. What happened? Oh, okay. Anyway, whatever. Yes. So let's talk first about some of the runtime of Justice League, because I also have in the discussion Justice League runtime. I think that by sacrificing some of the runtime for Justice League, that we kind of missed out on certain things. I have some of the deleted scenes which actually elaborate more on hope and on friendship, and also on a number of other factors that were involved. The unity, it also involved the development and the story arc of certain characters that would have been elaborated on more. I also believe that when we look at the runtime for this movie, while it was very entertaining and everything, I think that it would not have hurt the movie at all if it had a longer runtime. Would not have hurt it at all. And it's not necessarily for the fact that the runtime was, you know, insufficient. Like the story wasn't told. The story was basically told. But I feel like we would have gotten even more out of the movie if we had a longer runtime. And so when I saw certain scenes left out of the movie, it really ticked me off a little bit that certain scenes were left out of the movie. And I just wanted to allow you guys the outlet to express that if you wanted to in the chat section. I'm looking at the chat section, and either I'm not up to date, or you guys are watching me, you're dealing with whatever that I'm saying, and you're not responding. I don't know. So I was talking with Desiree, Rasmus Madsen, Dave Ethan, R2 Lemonin, and I want to know you guys' view on the runtime. You can express your opinions right now. Let me just go into something else. So I was talking to you guys about family. Friendship brings the bonds to breed about family. And family is very interesting, because when we talk about family, we're going to have a family movie coming up, Shazam, the Shazam family, where there's going to be basically a family atmosphere. And at the end of Justice League, we heard about family as well when Lois Lane was discussing family and home. And you saw Cyborg, and then you saw Aquaman returning to his home, and things familiar and things new. So, and things overlooked. So you have to see that basically this rebirth here that's happening is setting us in the direction for us to understand even more about these friendships, these bonds, these relationships. And they get us close and tight-knit, which was discussed in Suicide Squad as well. They're going to get tight-knit in terms of family. We're going to see family dynamics. We're going to see things happen in terms of family atmosphere. It also tells us, since we entered into the age of heroes, that there's going to be a shift from the dark tone that you saw in BVS, and even the slightly dark tone in Man of Steel, where the heroes were having much more difficulty. Now there's much more support. There's much more friendships. There's much more relationships. So you have to expect the tone of these movies now to change and to shift more into a lighter atmosphere. And so this is going to be interesting how these stories are told from this point onwards. So a lot of you who want dark and gloomy and gritty, you're going to find that the atmosphere has kind of changed. And yes, there's going to still be the realism and the seriousness of these characters, how they are taking us on. But I think you're going to see more of an atmosphere promoting things such as friendship, family, unity, togetherness, coordination. Okay, so that's where DC is going with these properties. And that's why Zack Snyder set them on the course to do that. And now they're going forth doing that right at this point in time. Again, I haven't seen any feedback from any of you. I don't know what's going on exactly. But let me just, let me do this. Okay, so we can move around much more easily here. And no comments from you guys from the chat section. Are you guys still there? You guys still there? Okay, I haven't seen anything. I don't know if the internet's working or what. I know people are watching this video. I'm not too sure what's happening. Well, on that note, though, I have to go. It was nice talking to you guys. It's 1:08 p.m. right now. I think I took about an hour on this video, which is pretty cool. I wanted to elaborate on this and talk a little bit more about friendship in the DCEU. I'm here. I just fell asleep. I didn't sleep in a lot yesterday. Oh, poor thing. Well, you go get your sleep, Desiree. It was nice talking with you, though. I heard something happened in France. Something happened in France, Desiree. What happened in France? Some terrorist, something happened in France. Is that what happened over here? Are you okay, though? You okay over there? What's happening over by you? Yes, folks. And cool thing about Desiree, she speaks French, really. And she's actually translating to speak English, so that's cool. Yeah, terrorist attack, hostages. Oh, they have hostages too. Oh, that sucks, man. Man, I'm gonna pray for those people. I hope God saves, has mercy on. I'm okay. It's not in my city. Oh man, I'm a dude. Oh snap. Sorry about that, bro. Didn't know. I thought Desiree sounded like a girl's name, but you. Sorry, my bad. That's your real name, by the way. Yeah. So. Moving on. So that sucks, though. That sucks, man. Sucks salt. My prayers are with those people. I hope God has mercy on them, allows as many of them as possible to come out alive. 2 dead, 3 injured. No, that's not my name. Okay. Al, how do you pronounce it? Is it Desiree? Because Desiree sounds like a woman's name. Is it Duzare? Is it Duzare? Duzare? Is it Duzare or is it Duzara? What is it? Just phonetically put it out there if you can speak English. I know you may be using an interpreter or you may be able to speak English because I know you guys are multilingual, man. You guys can do it. Europeans, they speak like 3, 4, 5 languages. That's pretty dope. I only speak 1 and the other one, I speak kind of like 3, but I'm really rusty on my French. My Spanish, yeah. It's like dus, ire. Okay, dusere. Like Amadeus. Oh, dusere. All right, dusere. Okay, I got you. It's Latin. Okay, cool. Wow. Yeah, man. Dusere. Cool. That sounds more masculine. Dusere. Yeah, I can dig that. Yeah, bro. Well, I hope you get some rest, man. I actually had to fall asleep again this morning as well. The terrorist has been shot. Oh, okay. They dead? They killed him or they got him alive so they can extract information from him. You don't want them dead particularly. You want them to be alive so you can enter. I mean, I don't know if they had a detonator or something, so maybe you had to kill them dead, but I would prefer if you get them alive. He was linked to those of November 2015. Apparently, oh crap. I hope they're able to save the life of one of them. Because if you can save one life of one of them, I know you might get much out of them, but you really should try and still get something out of them if you can. So you can get one alive, then you can extract information from them. You know what I mean? Because, these guys, man, you saw Justice League. You know what happened. I wish there was Wonder Woman. I wish Wonder Woman really, well, actually, Wonder Woman does exist. She does exist. Spiritually speaking, it does exist. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. But again, just what we were talking about, people who have false hope, their hope is in trying to give other people pain, and they feel by bringing darkness upon other people, they will understand, empathize with their situation, and everybody will hear their statement to the world, and they don't realize they're just spreading more hate. That doesn't solve anything. Killing people, especially innocent people, never solves any problem. That never does. Yeah, sadly, no superheroes in real. Actually, there are superheroes in real life. They're not in the form of that, but people who are loving, who are kind, they're superheroes. You know, every time you do a kind act and inspire somebody else, that's a superhero act. So there are superheroes in real life. It's just not in the format like, you know, punching, kicking, that kind of thing. But spiritually speaking or mentally speaking, there are that do the same, encapsulate the values and attributes. So there's a lot of supermen out here who inspire people and give them hope, real hope. There are real superheroes out here who are just and governed by love and try to right wrongs, you know. So there are superheroes out here. It's just not in the literal physical manifestation of that, but yeah, they are. And I got to get the security, the people who were the police and all the other people who are probing into this some credit, because they were able to at least save some lives. These guys probably won't take down everybody. You know what I'm saying? So some people actually survived. I don't know how bad their injuries are. That's another thing, because sometimes you survive, but then your whole life's altered, you know. So it is what it is. But my heart and prayers go to these people out there. You know, those people who are ill, I wish them a speedy recovery. Those people who have died, I pray for their families right now who are left behind. And I just wish their families, you know, my sincerest, you know, sympathies, man. You know, and if there's some way we can spread some kind of positiveness to them right at this point in time, I think it's worth the while. You know, every time we hear something horrific, it doesn't mean we have to talk about it and do nothing. You know, there's always something you can do, even if it's a positive thought, saying positive words to the people who are in the situation or their families who survived the situation. Something positive. We have to stay. We have to rise above the melee of wickedness that happens and focus. Yes, we have to punish the wrongdoer, but more so, we must also be able to provide that fabric to let people know we're here for you, man. And you know, if we can help you some way along the way, we would try our best in whatever capacity we can to send positive energy your way. Not only positive energy, but also if we can do something to help you, we will try and do it. You know, and that's what I like about people. People have that superhero mentality inside of them. You know, when a disaster happens, people band together. They come together and they try and help as much as they can. You see volunteers come from different places. And, you know, that's what we need out here. It actually brings out the best in us. So I'm hoping and praying for these people across there at this point in time. Duzoret. So, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, this will turn out to be some kind of good news, because it's hard for you. You know, this is happening in your country. It's not a good rep for your country, the place where you live. You know, very recently in my country, there are some people who are associated with ISIS. Literally, they are. And the government is literally having a hardcore statement against these people because they are on the CIA list. And they were trying to get in talks, you know, with the government concerning the treatment of certain Muslim people, because certain people have been arrested in my country for they were trying to commit a terrorist act in our carnival season in our own country. And then they the government was able to find these individuals and incarcerate them. Some of them have been extradited, I believe, and some of them are still here. And one of those guys who was associated with that, and the CIA has found out that these associations with ISIS, this dude recruiting people for ISIS, by the way, was trying to also join this concentration for mistreatment of Muslim people, and he's on the watch list. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that it's everywhere. These guys are everywhere, and I'm not cool with it at all. If you got evil intentions and you got an evil mind. I remember being on Twitter, and all of a sudden my Twitter feed was taken over by some guy, and I was like, what the heck is that? You know what I'm saying? This is the age, this is the world we live in, folks. And I had to change my Twitter feed. I had to change my Twitter handle, close down my Twitter account, because it seemed, and the dude was talking something about Muslims and thing, and I'm talking negatively about the governments of the United States government and stuff. And I was like, what the heck? Where did this come from? And when I was on Facebook as well, somebody tried to take my handle from Afghanistan, and Twitter was Facebook was able to lock that down. They're trying to steal your identities, folks, and use it. and next thing you know, you are involved in something that's not your business. You don't deal with that stuff. So you guys got to be careful on the internet about where you go and what you do, you know, and don't go to questionable sites just like that as well, because people are trying to steal your handle, and these guys are desperate, you know. And I'm talking about these guys, particularly the people at ISIS, these terror organizations. They're not up to anything good, folks. They're not up to anything good. And so I'm just saying, I separate them from people who are Muslims. I separate them from them because they're not Muslims as far as I'm concerned. I know what I've talked about Muslims already. That Muslim Islam means peace. All right. And a Muslim means a servant. Okay. And servants who bring about peace, like I said, you can bring about peace in darkness or you can bring about peace in light. So I separate ISIS and those people of ISIS from Islam. Islam is not about that. As much as people, certain people researched it, and, you know, I have a copy of the Quran in my home. Okay, I've read pieces of the Quran. In fact, I had to read pieces of the Quran to show people certain things about Jesus Christ that was in the Quran, because Jesus is known as Isa in the Quran. Okay, and he's mentioned in the Quran. He's the, you know, anyway. So I'm going off on a tangent here, but I also belonged to a group, and when I was up at UC California Riverside, we had Christians and Muslims Brothers Unite, and many other things, because people started to look out and try to look across barriers, look across, you know, people talked about gays and stuff, and we try to reach across to that community. We looked at Islam, and we reach across to that community, and we try to bridge those, because we see it's about learning about people, building relationships, building bonds. If there's something dangerous up in there, don't associate yourself with that. But you always want to build relationships with people. And I always tell people, when I went to a school and I was teaching in it, I had a principal in that school who was a Muslim, a wonderful guy. I keep on saying it over and over again. I've had Hindu people I've worked with everybody, actually, including atheists. And we've always had good relationships with each other. So I'm just saying that I think sometimes we allow these boundaries, we allow these taboo boundaries to prevent us from coming together and actually dealing with our humanity. William Meir, what's up? What's up, William Miranda? Shout out to you. I'm about to close it down, though, bro. I'm sorry that you're coming through this hour, man. You can always check out the video. It's nice to see all of you guys. Duzare, right? Duzare or Duzare. Amadeus. Duzare. Oh, Duzare. Wait a minute. A Duzare is not something which gives an account of different stuff. That's interesting. Yeah. You got a cool name, man. I don't know. Why 79 though? Why 79? I'm interested. Anyway, man. Guys, I gotta go. I already shared with you guys about friendship. Let's try and build bonds, then destroy them. Of course, certain bonds need to be destroyed, so you destroy them. I'm still in the process of growing as a person as well. All of us can do some growing up. And so I've interacted with different people different ways. You just typed in 79 randomly. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, man. So I hope you guys have a good evening. I wanted to hear your thoughts on the runtime of Justice League. Nobody told me anything about runtime. It's all good. Leave your comments in the comment section below when you finish watching this video. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a great one. W. Mir, Desare. Who else we got here? Rasmus, Matson, Dave, Ethan, R2 Lemonin. You guys, man, have a great evening. Peace.